manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Thank you, happy.
Hello, Star Trek fans, and welcome back on board for episode 4 of A Captain's Log. I'm Brian Kreutz, and here with me is my esteemed co-host, Lili Fox-Lim.
Oh, thank you, Brian, for beaming me up for another great adventure into the vast world of Star Trek, past, present, and future. We're in our formal wear this week for a second contact meeting down on our planet. We'll reveal the planet at the end of the episode.
Hey, what about me?
Hold your horses, Raj. We didn't forget about you. We'll get to you next.
Horses? We don't have horses on XO3.
No, Raj, that's just a figure of speech here in the American English dialect. What she means is just be patient.
Why would I want to go to sickbay?
No, Raj, not that kind of patient. We mean just stay calm and wait for a little bit.
I have to do that all the time. Do you have any idea how long it takes to travel halfway across the galaxy just to visit my family?
You have the patience of a saint, Raj. And here on Earth we have this expression, patience is a virtue, and virtue can't hurt you.
Is that what you Earthlings call words of wisdom?
It certainly is.
Well, it only took me one episode to get a demotion. I figured by episode 4, I'd have the shuttlecraft back home to look for something else to do.
But Raj, your job is secure here. We could never do the show without you.
That's why I'm also working as a bottle washer, Bass. Enjoy your cocoa in these bottles that I just washed.
Well, Raj, you did a great job washing the bottles, as always, but you're not the co-host, you're the co-host.
Precisely. And furthermore, cocoa is usually served in mugs, not bottles. I think I missed something before I joined your show, or you've got this inside joke referring to co-host and actual cocoa? Sounds like a classic case of a double entendre for an out-of-touch android.
It tastes just fine to me this way.
Well, maybe you can make that a custom on XO3.
Are you going back there again this week?
No, this week we're going back to Earth to meet our very special interview guest. Lili, would you like to tell our viewers about this special guest?
Certainly, I'll be glad to. Joining us this week is Jenny Parks, a world-renowned artist who is much loved among Trekkies for her books Star Trek Cats and Star Trek The Next Generation Cats.
She better not make a cat version of me. Since when does Star Trek have cats?
Well, Mr. Data had a cat on the Enterprise named Spot, and Jenny describes herself as a shameless nerd and cat lover. Plus, she's written those 2 books I already mentioned.
Well, next time we go back to XO3, we should just take some cats along. I bet they'd be a big hit.
I bet every kid on the planet would want one of those cute little fur balls. Or better yet, what if we introduced Tribbles to Raj's planet XO3? We all know how well that went over in the classic original series episode, The Trouble with Tribbles.
No furball Earth alien animals, please. Instead, I would bring Tribbles to Earth and breed them there. They'd make people forget about cats.
Now, Raj, why do you think that?
Tribbles are non-allergenic, much less annoying, and much lower maintenance. Just thinking about cats makes me want to sneeze. Oh. Computer, do androids sneeze?
An android, like a computer, can simulate the typical sound to sneeze on command. Achoo! A human sneeze is triggered by an infection or an irritant, such as mucus, germs, dust, pollen, animal dander, or pollutants that cause the body to expel mucus containing foreign particles or irritants and cleanse the nasal cavity.
I'm not sure a lot of parents would like that.
The CBS Price is Right game show host always ends with the phrase, help control the pet population. Have your cat spayed or neutered.
Love that game show. I think we'll have to find a veterinarian from the planet Iota Geminorium 4 to answer that one, Raj.
I don't even know what that means. But when I'm home and I tell people, I'm on an earthly TV show, they go crazy. I can't walk down the street without getting mobbed. Here on Earth, not so much.
Well, Raj, I bet if you made a personal appearance at a Star Trek fan convention, plenty of us Terrans would line up to get your autograph and get a picture taken with you.
That's right. Especially the ladies.
No, they all think I'm too short.
Well, Raj, you're a giant rising star in the Star Trek universe.
That's right.
Lili, how do you say, are you transporting tribbles? In the Klingon language.
Well, Raj, you would say, Ich me dache Jan.
How do you say kitten?
Young Cat would be Vigro Coop. But Raj, I'm not your personal translator. Ask the computer to play universal translator games in the Klingon language in your free time.
Which reminds me, in the next few weeks, we're going to have a very special announcement about a fluent Klingon speaker who's going to be our special guest.
Ooh.
I hope you pay our subtitle person extra this week.
Oh, that's right. Raj, I found this Next Generation Technical Manual by Rick Sternbach and Michael Okuda that you could study up on during our interview with Jenny. Brian's going to leave it here for you in his quarters.
Lili and I are so happy to have Jenny Parks as our guest here on A Captain's Log. Now, Jenny, as most of our viewers know, is a scientific illustrator with published, fully illustrated books. In particular, her book, Star Trek Cats, features all the original series crew in fuzzy cat form.
Oh.
And of course, my favorite book from Jenny, I have it with me here in the studio, is the Star Trek The Next Generation Cat starring Jean Luc Picard, the hairless sphinx cat himself. Now, Jenny's official website is jennyparks.com. Jenny, thank you for being with us here on A Captain's Log.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We want to talk to you about your latest project that you have going on here. It is a game of 9 lives called Catastrophe. Not the word catastrophe, but catastrophe. There's a lot of famous cats in this game, and you've done all the illustrations for it, right?
Most of the illustrations. So I did most of the, I did all of the famous cat ones. There was another artist who did like the board game art and some of the other cards. That's Jackie Davis. She's great. But yeah, so I did most of the art. And that's the cool thing about this game is the creators of the game, Josh and Abby Norris, they got permission. Like they came to these famous Instagram cats and wanted to like celebrate them in a way. So it's sort of like having these actual cats, but making them into superheroes and like magical beings and stuff like that. So those are the kind of like the special cards in the game are these famous Instagram cats basically. And they have special powers and stuff like that.
So it's all recognizable cats, just like in your Star Trek Cats books. You're illustrating famous Instagram cats. Was it a neat experience to illustrate the cats in art form versus what these famous cats may have looked like on Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was, I took a lot of reference from, I had to look at all these pictures of cats. I was like, cool, like, because they're so cute. All of these cats that they have in the game. There's, I think one of the most famous ones is Lil Bub, who is very cute. She's got the little tongue sticking out and the big eyes, and so she was really fun to illustrate. So there's all of them were an honor to be able to draw, but definitely had a lot of fun with that.
One other thing on this Catastrophe game, it looks like on the Kickstarter campaign, it only took you less than a half an hour to raise the funds for this. That's amazing.
What?
People want this game.
Yeah, I was so happy for them. I was just like, because I don't know, I've been really, really on board with this game. I'm just doing the art for me. Like, I was just hired by them to do the art. But really, the Josh and Abby are such amazing people. They've been one of my best clients I've ever had. They've just been really great. So I've been like, I want this project to go far. And like, so seeing it blast past the base goal there, it was amazing. Really proud of them. How much over the goal? It was like 10,000 was the goal. And then it got to like 140,000, I think, something like that.
And I'm sure there'll be information on your website when Catastrophe comes out. once the release comes out? Okay.
I'll be letting people know, and we'll update people on that as well. I'm still finishing up some of the artwork, so until that is done, we can't really do production yet. So hoping that to be done within the next couple months.
The official website is jennyparks.com, where you can find the latest information on her newest game, Catastrophe.
A Captain's Log with special guest Jenny Parks returns in a moment.
I'm so happy Brian and I got a chance to spend time with you during our show, Jenny. I know I would like to see a Jenny Parks illustrated book on other Star Trek crews of cats. Do you ever get fan comments and suggestions asking you to kitty up the crews of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, or Lower Decks, or any of the other Star Trek series?
So yes, especially right after the books came out, which was, I guess, a few years ago now, there was definitely some requests of doing other of the series. The main issue, the reason why we haven't done it is it's very like technical stuff with the publisher and what they think will sell. Because, Next Gen and the original series are the ones that people outside of Star Trek actually know. So they'll see it and be like, oh, like I know this, so like my Star Trek friend or whatever would like this, something like that. When you get more into the others, I think it just becomes a little bit more tenuous for them, where they're like, I don't know how well this is going to sell. But personally, I was like, I'd love to do it. One of my favorites is Deep Space Nine, so I would love to do Deep Space Nine. Yeah, like, can you imagine an Odo cat? Like, that would just be so fun.
That would be so awesome. Fans, write into our show and we'll pass the information along to Jenny. And we should be able to pass it along to the publisher, because we all want to see a Star Trek Deep Space Nine book.
Yes!
We do.
Who knows? Doesn't hurt.
Definitely a Star Trek Deep Space Nine cats book. I can't tell you how many friends I have in the Star Trek fandom that love Deep Space Nine as their favorite series. So yeah, I know it'd be especially important to see a Star Trek cats book in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We were talking about San Diego Comic-Con right before the interview here today, and I know it'd be a really big hit for you to be able to sell there as well.
So when did you become interested in art?
Well, okay, that goes way back. I think like a lot of artists, I started drawing when I was really young. It was always just been a thing for me. I just really loved drawing, and I think just getting encouragement from family and friends just kept me doing it. High school, I had a really cool art teacher who really encouraged me to pursue art as a career. So, before that, I wasn't sure. And then honestly, I was thinking about doing something with science or biology, because I also love animals a lot. I was never really good at math. So it's like, how about I just do art, which is a thing that I can do, which I'm glad I went that way instead of struggling through biology courses and trying to do that. So yeah, it's basically been since I was a kid, and just kind of went from there.
Well, we're glad you took the art route, as well as I know a lot of our fans think so. We're speaking to the highly talented Jenny Parks here on A Captain's Log. Jenny, as most of you know, is a scientific illustrator. Her official website is jennyparks.com. Once again, jennyparks.com. So it's not just Star Trek that you illustrate. What others have you illustrated for? What other big franchises?
So I haven't done any other books yet. It's mostly just art that I've sold posters of, things like that. But I've done a lot of different properties. Trying to think of, I guess one of the most recent ones was The Mandalorian, or the Meowndalorian, as they call it. Because that one was really big, and I really love the show. So I think that was the last one I did. I don't know. The whole 2020 was just like it didn't exist, so I don't remember what happened. But I think that was one of the last ones I did. So that's been one of my favorites in the past. And I did the whole Avengers thing. That was one of the ones that really started getting me traction and like people noticing my art. Because before that I was doing Doctor Who stuff. So I was a huge Doctor Who fan when I was younger. So that was kind of like my start. And then started branching out more, doing other fandom stuff that I liked, basically. So it was all just things that I like nerdy stuff.
So were you a Star Trek fan growing up? You mentioned Deep Space Nine as your favorite series. Do you have any favorite characters that you'd like to share with our fans in the Star Trek realm? My
favorite growing up was always Next Gen, but that was the one that I knew the most, because that's what I grew up with. And honestly, Deep Space Nine didn't happen until later, because as a kid, I didn't really get it as much. I think there's a lot of political stuff going on. So I watched it later and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much deeper than I realized. So I have a lot of favorites in Next Gen. I love Data. I love Worf. I love Worf, especially in Deep Space Nine. I'd say those are the two top that I'm always talking about, I think.
There's so many more characters sometimes when you're in a mood. Like for instance, I can't forget about Dr. Crusher sometimes. So speaking of Dr. Crusher, there's a question, I asked you when we first met at CatCon. And if you can, I'd like for you to articulate on that a little bit for our viewers. So you met Gates McFadden, and she has an affinity for cats. She loves cats. Can you tell us about the inspiration you had for her cat character in your book? And what was it like speaking to Gates McFadden specifically about cats?
Well, Gates is lovely. She actually approached me, which was, I was like, but I wasn't at my table at the time. So she came to my table and my friend was there watching my table. And then I came back and she was like, Gates McFadden wants to talk to you. And I was like, what? So I just ran over to her booth and talked to her. And this was before the books came out, long before I even had talked to them about doing the Next Gen book. Gates was she wanted me to do a commission of a Beverly Crusher cat. So I actually did that for her as just a sketch, I believe. I didn't do a full painted piece because I just did it there at the con. So I just threw that together for her. So she was great. And we actually did an exchange thing where once I actually did the actual piece of the Crusher cat, she offered to sign a bunch of them for me and have them sent back to me. And so she was really great. She was super sweet. As far as the character in the book is the cat version of her, that one, I believe I just was scrolling through breeds to find one that looked like her, the red hair. So I wanted a long hair, just very interesting or striking cat. And I cannot remember what the breed name is called, but they look a lot like Abyssinians. They're just longer hair. So they have that really reddish orange fur. And just they're very beautiful. So it's this is perfect. So that's the cat that I have for her. And I think it just fits,
So you've appeared at many conventions in recent years. Have you ever appeared at a Star Trek convention or spoken at a Star Trek convention?
Not yet. I had the chance to a while ago and it just didn't pan out. And I believe that was the Las Vegas one. I can't remember why. I think I had too many conventions at one time. It was San Diego was right before that. And I'm always so destroyed by that convention. So I was I don't know if I can handle this. But I kind of regret it because I wanted to go to that because it was right after the books came out. So my publisher asked if I wanted to go, and now I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't do it.
Yes, exactly. As you just commented, the Star Trek Las Vegas convention is right after Comic-Con. That's the largest convention. So yeah, I can imagine you'd be wiped out. Do you have convention appearances for the near future?
First one I have scheduled is Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is the one in Phoenix, Arizona. And that one's scheduled for January. And I can't tell yet if I'm going to be comfortable with doing it. So it's tentative. But the one I think for sure I will probably be doing is after that, which is WonderCon in April. Because I just love that convention and I'd like to go back, and I feel like that might be enough time to kind of ease back into doing conventions where there's a bunch of people. And
so there you have it, fans. If you want to see Jenny Parks in person, it is a possibility in January in Phoenix, Arizona. And of course, April 2022, WonderCon. How do fans keep up with you and your hard work besides just your website, jennyparks.com? Social media? Can you share that with us?
Sure. Best way to get in touch with me is my email, which is just jp@jennyparks.com. I do have a lot of social media as well. I'm on Twitter at Jenny Parks Illus, ILLUS. And then that's the same for Instagram and Facebook.
So there you have it. You know, Lili and I greatly appreciate you being here on A Captain's Log. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Time now for our final 5 Flight into Orbit segment. Last week we were at the vacation destination planet Risa. Lili and I were wearing our shore leave resort wear.
That's right, Brian. We have a formal meeting over a feast with the Ito, but before we go down to the planet, dressed nicely to make a second impression, we need some help from you if you were the captain of this ship, making second contact decisions and assessments of Rubicon III.
Exactly, Lili. Today we're asking our tremendously Trekker viewers these questions, giving them choices like they're the captain of their own starship.
All activity, including the captain's decision on second contact to these planets we revisit, needs to be logged in the Federation database. It's my job to ensure the subspace recording is delivered to Starfleet scrambled for no outside entities to intercept.
Don't babble, Data. Raj.
But, Ambassador!
But first, captains, let's watch a 30-second trailer. Then Lili and I will ask questions about the Next Generation episode of Justice on today's Planet of the Week.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
They certainly are fit.
The crew visits a planet of sensual pleasure.
Death?
By breaking any law.
But an innocent violation
No, Wes!
puts Wesley's life in jeopardy.
Drop it now.
And despite everyone's rescue attempts,
He's being held safely until sundown.
he faces an alien death sentence on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Bass, did you know that the episode Justice, with 12.7 million viewers, was TNG's second most viewed show of the first season?
Well, viewers, how would you finish this captain's log? Err on the side of diplomacy or caution in the face of upsetting this world and its leaders? In fact, the leaders of the Ito could still be Rivon and Leator.
Now, captains, why would you revisit Rubicon III?
I think Leator's kind leadership and Rivon's purity and almost raw, blind innocence was worthy of a Star Trek off-worlder. And here's an entry from our captain's log to help you, the viewer, be the captain and make a decision like a captain if you were to return to Rubicon III.
Captain's Log, Stardate 56899.2. A return to the benevolent world of Rubicon III will commence on this mission, serving as a second contact plan of delicate diplomacy for the Federation. Our diplomatic party is dressed to the nines, consisting of Ambassador Kreutz and Science Officer Lili Fox-Lim, to join the Ito for a formal dinner. The purpose is to see the progress the inhabitants of Rubicon III, known as the Ito, have made since Captain Picard's Enterprise visited here many years ago and violated a law with capital punishment as the only recourse. Our crew is interested in talking to the same or even new leaders of this Eden-like planet. What decisions will I have to make to not upset the delicate balance of the Ito and their god who orbits from up here above the planet like our ship? Today, many viewers of our Trek will help make that decision like I would from the captain's chair.